one thing you gotta get is specialized. Cause there's a big bad evil that's happening every day.
Hi, I'm Zoe Brigham, and this is my son Leighton. I call him Sid. On the 22nd of April this year, Leighton started with a cough and was struggling to breathe, so we took him down to A&E. He had a chest x-ray and they said, oh, he's got a bit of pneumonia. He was on antibiotics and some steroids and sent us away. 5 days later, I got a phone call around 5 o'clock saying, can you come in? We've seen something on the x-ray that doesn't look right. So we popped down and his airway was pushing to the side by 6 centimetres, and they said it could be in the way we stood in the x-ray or it was a mass, but they didn't know, and they thought it could be his lymph nodes. So they redid the x-ray and said it's not lymph nodes and it's not the way he stood, there's a mass there. So we've got you booked in tomorrow for a CT scan. So the next day you went down for your CT scan. I'd popped home to get some bits and I'd come back and they pulled me aside and said, we're really sorry. We know it's cancer, we don't know what cancer it is. We're sending you up to LGI in Leeds and they're going to take over from there. So then we went down and Leighton couldn't come home because he couldn't lay flat because where the tumour is, it's on his airways. So it's like holding a straw. The only way that we could describe it is if you have a straw and you squeeze the top, that's what it was like every time he laid down. So he was struggling to breathe. So we was constantly monitored for 2 weeks. Then you had your biopsy. You had it awake. Won't put you to sleep. He did really well, and then we got told it was Hodgkin's lymphoma, stage 2, and they sent you for another CT scan and found it was in his throat and in his lung. And then they set you up with your PICC line, and you had your PICC line installed awake because it was too risky for him to be asleep. And then they started him on his chemo. And we've just took it day by day, and he's not complained, he's not whinged, he's just cracked on with it. Losing his hair, we had a little bit of a moment, didn't we? And then he walks on board now and he's just okay out of it. Yeah? It's been really hard. Obviously, we've got 2 younger children. One's just turned 4 and not is 2. So when I've been up at the hospital for like the 2 weeks where we couldn't come home, and so the girls had to go stay with my parents, which we're really lucky that my parents, my brothers, their partners, they've all just chipped in and been like, right, we're here if you need us. It is hard. She works for you in here, like, your kid's going to get poorly, and you don't ever think I see it on telly, and you see it on telly, and you don't think it's going to be your family, you don't think that's going to be my baby. But we have literally taken one day at a time, and yeah, we've had our cries, we've had our, but then you just got to carry on and be like, right, but we just try and keep positive, don't we? And Sid's got a very dark humour, so he makes light of a dark situation, and it's you that's pulled us through more because it's you've not dwelled on it, you've not broke down, you asked your questions, and then you said, no, I'm going to beat this, and then yeah, so it's when you want to crumble as an adult and then you think, like, but he's going through that, and then he shows how strong he is, you just love your big girl pants, you're like, right, let's go. So after he had his biopsy, Leighton went really downhill and his breathing started going all funny. And it was that he had 9 specialist doctors. He had ICU on standby to put him into a medically induced coma. They had everything on standby because of his breathing and everything. And he'd knocked the SATS monitor off his toe. So it like started going flat. And now I'm sat there and everything's all heightened and we're sat on this board. All these doctors have been and said, look, we'll put this in place and there's all this, and you're absolutely scared. And then he goes, Mum. And I was like, what's up? And he went, I've flatlined. I was like, right, okay. I was like, it's not affected you really, has it? I was like, you've not time to joke. He went, oh, I have. So he hasn't been back to school. There was meant to be a care plan put in place so he could go back to school.
It was around June that was supposed to be put in place.
But sadly, that didn't get put in place. And we've got a lovely card saying, we hope you get better and we'll see you in September. So when we go back to school, we're going to ask to see, because obviously he's in the important year. He's just left year 10 going into year 11, and he's a really bright kid and he's really high scores anyway. So we're going to see whether we can get a tutor to help you catch up from last term, so then you're on your course for your GCSEs, because he wants to be a marine biologist when he's older, so he needs his English, his maths and his science. So we need to make sure you get top marks. Yeah. So we set up the GoFundMe for Sid so he could get a gaming PC. I'd love to buy it in outright, but I had to take a career break from work so I can focus on Sid, the hospital visits, and you don't understand the expense of being in a hospital, because it's not just your transport there and back. There's your food, and Leighton's autistic, so he doesn't like certain food. So the food that the hospital gave isn't what he'd eat. So it was buying food in, but then he can only eat in places that have got 5-star food rating because of the chemo. So it all adds up. So all the money that I could have put towards a gaming PC and got it for him is what's gone on to him, isn't what we needed at the hospital. So we sat down and we said, with Sid's permission, I said, would you like me to do a GoFundMe? To begin with, he was like, no, it's begging. I don't want it. Until the day I put the GoFundMe up, and he said, actually, Mum, you can do the GoFundMe because I'd really like a gaming PC, but also I can do my schoolwork on it and catch up with school. And I was like, right, that's brilliant. So we've put the GoFundMe up and we're over halfway there now, aren't we? Which is amazing. But it's just to take, because he can then just go into his own little world in his bedroom, forget everything that's gone on, forget everything that's going on, and just be that normal, typical teenager that's just screaming and shouting at his friends over a computer and just have a little bit of normality back. When he started his chemo, because he's got an Xbox, so when he started his chemo and we'd come back home, he went on his computer. So we didn't have the screaming, we didn't have the shouting, he just like secluded himself from his friends. And I think it was about 2 months down the line, I sat down and I could hear him shouting on his computer. And like, normally I'd be like, oh my God, but I was like, that's so nice to hear him actually interacting with his friends, because the social side of it is cut off from everybody. he sees us and family, and that's it.
Is that like to keep the risk of infections down and things?
No, it's mainly due to he just ain't got the energy. He gets tired going up and downstairs, and you went out with you've gone out with your friend once. You went out to bowling, golf, and for something to eat, didn't you? And he came home and he slept. Got in, he went straight. He told me all about it, and he goes, "I'm off upstairs now." I went, "All right," and he just slept. He had Lego sets and he did it in the hospital, but then he's scared that it's going to get broke because he builds a Lego and he won't play with it. So it gets built and it gets put on display. So he was scared that if he built it in the hospital, obviously we've got to go from Leeds back to York, it's going to get broken, and he can't rebuild Lego once it's been built. And he can't use Lego that somebody else has already used. It has to be new in a box with all the packaging. So, yeah, but his bedroom is like a museum of just Lego, and it's always been Lego. So Leighton uses Lego as a coping mechanism. It's his passion. Anything and everything is Lego. So when the Specialised Project sent Leighton 2 boxes of Lego, he went in his room and he just got to hide away from everything else and just be in his little Lego world. Yeah.
So how much you like Lego, Leighton?
I like it a lot. It's very just relaxing to sit there and build it, and it just helps me so much. I'd like to thank the Specialised Project and the community for giving me the Legos. It's helped me so much when I've needed it. So thank you very, very much.
I'd like to thank the Specialist Project as well and their community for their donation, and it has helped so much with raising Sid's moods, and continue doing what you're doing because you're doing amazing work. Thank you.
Well, you know that the one thing you gotta get is specialized.